Good evening. It is time for today's tax talk, if I can get this right. I am your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. It is Thursday, March 17th, year of our Lord 2022. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy birthday, Jake. And, we're having a lot of fun. Today, the commissioner of the IRS appeared at the House Ways and Means Subcommittee, and also the former tax advocate, National Taxpayer Advocate, Nina Olson, had an interview, and I wanted to talk about that, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Won't you join us? Uh-oh. So, as I mentioned, Nina Olson, the former National Taxpayer Advocate, had this interview today, and she has the same opinion as most everybody else that's been asked about this. The current taxpayer advocate, her name is Erin Collins. She had a report earlier this year. We reported on this, and she found it a disaster. No, she said crisis. She said that the IRS was in crisis, and so Nina Olson now has weighed in on it, and she found pretty much the same thing. She says the IRS is a mess. Well, let's look at that and see if we can get into that. Okay. So here we go. This is the Forbes article. Now, today, and I think I'm including all of the links to these articles in the description, so feel free to go read these articles yourself. I'm not going to read the whole article from the commissioner. It's fairly long, and he says he's very good at being a politician or a bureaucrat. It's a very long article, and he talks a lot, but he really doesn't say much. Here's what they always say: we need more money. That's always the same. So, as of early last month, the Internal Revenue Service had 23.5 million tax returns and pieces of correspondence awaiting manual processing, including some paper returns filed as far back as April 2021. Now, it seems like we're talking a lot about this because it's in the news, and there's a couple things that are happening because of this, right? I don't think this is the reason, but recently the spending bill included a 6% increase to the IRS. They say it's for customer service, and they're going to hire 10,000 new employees. Well, right now the IRS has 83,000, so it's a more than 10% increase to the number of employees with the IRS. How soon can they get that number? Well, they're only going for 5,000 this year, and I don't know if they're going to make that anytime soon. And so, without that extra help, and again, once you even hire them, they have to be trained and processed, and it's going to take some time before they can even make a dent in any of the backlog. And they're also we talked about the surge that the IRS is redeploying many employees, but still they all have to be trained also. So, and of course that just causes problems in other areas of the IRS. Nina E. Olson, a tax lawyer, what a surprise, and a founder and executive director of the Center for Taxpayer Rights, describes the current problems at the IRS as the worst she's ever seen. And she's seen a lot. From 2001 to 2019, she served as the IRS's National Taxpayer Advocate, an independent voice within the agency charged with helping individual taxpayers and making recommendations to Congress for change. You can watch my full conversation. She has this interview with her. But here's part of the interview. The only thing that comes close to the problems we're seeing now at the Internal Revenue Service was in 1985, when the agency was rolling out some new technology. technology that's still in use today. And she's saying that this is why the IRS is so bad. Back then, the processing centers got so far behind of their work that employees started hiding tax returns in closets and putting them in bags in the trash. Now it's way worse. Worse than that? Than hiding everything? That's when you wonder why they all disappeared? Now it's way worse, with the IRS for the second year in a row entering a filing season with a backlog of millions of not yet processed returns and pieces of correspondence. The pandemic exacerbated the IRS's longstanding problems and brought them to the surface. The agency has been significantly underfunded for decades. Can you name a government agency that is not significantly underfunded? You think that the Department of Defense thinks they're underfunded? Or the Environmental Protection Agency believes that they're underfunded? Or the Human Resource, or the whatever it is, the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission? You think they're under-resourced? Or the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission? You believe that they think they're under-resourced? I think if you went through agency to agency, to the last one would say they are underfunded. They need more money. How big is our government? Is it underfunded as far as you're concerned? Yeah, just a thought. And has resisted change that could have reduced the current paper backlog. At the same time, the IRS has been charged with dual mission, collecting revenue and dispersing benefits. During COVID-19, the IRS's office was shut down for several months, even as Congress drafted it to play a key role in delivering COVID relief. This is one of the key reasons why they're behind. It's a miracle that the IRS got out the economic impact payments. The politicians want to make sure that you got the money, so they prioritize that. And the advanced child tax credit monthly payments as quickly as it did. But resolving discrepancies in the reporting of millions of those payments has created a huge additional workload. Absolutely true. This is where the problem comes in, because they had to convert so many of the electronic filings to paper filings. And she talks a little bit about this. So let's continue. Last week, Congress gave the IRS more money to improve taxpayer service and authority to speed up the hiring of 10,000 employees, if it can find them. Very good point. But the service problems are not going to be fixed quickly. So taxpayers caught in the backlog need to understand what's going on and to push out on every possible lever. If an electronically filed tax return gets held up for some reason, it gets put in an errors resolution queue to be looked at by a human being. Last year, this is back to the problem. This is the problem. Last year, returns sat in that pile for an average of 75 days before they were assigned to an IRS employee. So they weren't finished in 75 days. They weren't even assigned to somebody for 75 days. If your refund has been held up for months and you need the money, call the IRS. I know it's hard to get through, but once your return has been worked on by error resolution, the person on the phone should be able to tell you why it's being held up and might even be able to resolve the problem, say by fixing incorrectly entered social security number or helping you verify your identity. Meanwhile, if you get a math or clerical error notice, and we talked about this on this show, which adjusts the amount you owe and you believe the notice is wrong, it's crucial you answer within 60 days to preserve your rights. The Center for Taxpayer Rights, which I founded, has some practical advice here on the delayed refunds and math error notices. If your problems with the IRS drag on and are causing financial hardship, call the Taxpayer Advocate Service or file a request for assistance, also known as a 911, from TAS, which is a Taxpayer Advocate Service. And contact your member of Congress. Even if that member can't help, and sometimes they can, they need to know about the impact of their constituents of such poor IRS service. Well, everybody knows they only answer 1 out of 11 calls, something like that. So we know that the service is bad. So here's the next. This is just another article talking about the article that what Nina Olson said. So I refer to it because it comments on that. This is the accounting today and this is the commissioner of the IRS. And I just want to read a couple of these. Quotes. Internal Revenue Service Commissioner pledged to do more to improve taxpayer service after Congress approved $675 million in the funding increase. That's increase. I pledge to do more. Taxpayer service remains the most significant IRS priority. They're failing. And we have implemented many new innovative strategies in an effort to improve our overall level of service and processing of our unprecedented current and projected inventories. It's our highest priority, and it stinks. He said in a prepared testimony before House Ways Oversight Subcommittee meeting on Thursday. The pandemic presented the IRS with a confluence of novel and critical demands on the same set of limited resources. I'm going to go back to this. What organization does not have limited resources? Right? Don't they all have limited resources? That's the nature of resources. They're limited. With similar levels of urgency and priority. In response, although we have not always gotten it right or supported the important priorities of some, our employees have worked extremely hard to respond as best they could to never-ending string of compounding challenges. He noted that the 2022 filing season got off to a strong start in terms of taxpayer processing because they're done electronically. Initially, all these new ones come in, they can process those. People don't have to look at them. They get processed electronically. And the operation of the IRS technology systems. So, through March 11th, the IRS received more than 63 million individual federal tax returns and issued more than 45 million refunds, totaling more than $151 billion, he noted. For this tax season, he pointed out that the refund returns continued to be processed on a priority basis ahead of returns with the balance due or full payment of the underlying liabilities. However, the IRS is still catching up on the backlog of millions of tax returns from last year. While the current filing season has so far presented no major disruptions or surprises, we know we have a great deal of work to do in many other areas of the IRS. The IRS continues to focus on working to reduce paper correspondence inventory and process paper tax returns from 2021, as well as improve our response to the unprecedented level of phone demand, situations that have been compounded by the pandemic and related issues. One of the things that compound their problem is when they get behind, people start calling and asking what's going on. Why haven't I got my money? I tell you this, when you don't pay the IRS, you're going to hear from them. And when they don't pay you, they don't want to hear from you. He noted that the fiscal 2021, the IRS received more than 15 million individual paper returns. This agency had a significantly higher error rate on individual returns for all those same reasons we already talked about, mostly due to inability of taxpayers to accurately reconcile their actual economic impact payments and claims utilizing prior year income for the income tax credit. We received far more than the 10 million returns where the taxpayer failed to properly reconcile to EIPs received in 2020 in the amount of recovery rebate credit. Okay, so I had a couple more things I just wanted to. Although the IRS appreciates, here we go. Although the IRS appreciates the $675 million increase in our budget, funding constraints remain a barrier to addressing the current paper inventory and supporting our IT operations adequately. We are exploring all options to move funds to meet today's immediate challenges, but doing so is a short-term solution for a long-term structural funding problem that only Congress can help us address. For example, this year's funding left our operations support account, the account that funds all the hiring, rent, laptops, and telecom for taxpayer services and enforcement employees, $100 million short of our inflationary cost increases. Otherwise, we are left depleting resources from one less visible program to pay for another essential program, which causes us to slow or stop work on updates to our systems that must be modernized to provide digital services that citizens expect from us. I wanted to. Here's the one. I'm going to finish with this one. Mandatory multi-year consistent funding. Here it is. The $80 billion proposal under the considerations by you and your colleagues, the Build Back Better plan, $80 billion, doubling the size of the IRS, would help us deliver meaningful services to taxpayers, conduct critical enforcement initiatives, and support long-term modernization efforts that improve both service and compliance for the nation. So, what do they need? More. How much more? A lot more. Double? Not enough. Do you believe if they got the $80 billion, they would say, oh, that's enough, we don't need any more? Absolutely not. It would not stop there. It never stops. There's not an agency alive that stops with the money that they have. It's just the way things work. And we want to give them more responsibility. We want to let them start snooping in our bank accounts, looking at all of our transactions everywhere. This is what we want with the IRS. We should just give them more money so they can do more. Do we want the IRS to do more? Not in my bank. I don't think we need the IRS to do more. I think the IRS does plenty, in my opinion. Now, if you're trying to work something out with the IRS, that's what we help people do. So, I would suggest if you're the first thing you do, if you owe the IRS money, first thing you do, you get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problems Today. Go to freeirsbook.com. Go to freeirsbook.com. Get your free copy of Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. We appreciate it. Now, remember, I'm going to ask you to like and subscribe and share. We want you to subscribe. So subscribe, share it, like it. Get it out with others. We need people to see this. Remember, the core of all news is really tax news, and we bring you that tax news first. I don't know who's in front of it than us. A lot of things we report on, they're not reported in the mainstream media for weeks after we've already talked about it and explored it and analyzed it on this show. So we're ahead of the game. But we need you to help us get the word out. So thanks so much for helping us. I appreciate you. And remember, tomorrow I have the Watch Talk Radio podcast at 2:00, 2:15 really. So go to watchtalkradio.com or YouTube or the Facebook, wherever you're watching us right now. We're going to be live tomorrow at 2:15. We have attorney Dave Schluter, a fountain of information. That's why we have him on. He's been on us several times on the show. He's just got a lot of a fountain of information about real estate law, probate, estates and trusts and estates, all of this. So join us tomorrow at 2:15, won't you? In the meantime, have a great St. Patrick's Day, Saturday, St. Joseph's Day. Happy birthday, Joe, my son. And we'll look to see you again on Monday here at today's Tax Talk. But yeah, don't forget tomorrow at the Watch Talk Radio. Thanks so much, and we'll see you then.